Have you seen these Empress comics, and have you had the thought of how similar they could be? I know I did, and I know other people did because I saw them posting about it. So I decided to go through the various tropes of the Empress comics in each comic to see if the rumors are true. Are all Empress comics alike? They aren't all alike. They're all special in their own way. In the four comics that we will be discussing today are The Remarried Empress, I Abdicate My Throne as Empress, and Who Stole the Empress, as well as a bonus I wanted to talk about the Empress lipstick because it's adorable and it really scrambles the genre and the different status that has been established. Here's a summary for anyone who has never heard of these in their entire life, and if you have heard of these or you read them already, you can just skip ahead to like 3 or 4 minutes or something. Remarried Empress, the main character is Empress Navier, and she is a very perfect character. Her only flaw is that she's not so great at communicating and is maybe pretty cold emotionally to the people around her. She's very kind though, she just doesn't like outwardly show it. Anyway, she and her husband are a bit distant right now after they failed to conceive, and so he brings home this concubine one day because she reminds him of a younger Navier, and it's pretty sad, but that's all you need to know, base information, that's the conflict that he brought in this other woman, and she's like a little uncomfortable with that because even though they're not together right now, she still loves her man. For Abdicated Empress, Adelaide is the main character. She is not married yet. The story starts out with her getting forced to be married to the empress of this other kingdom, and he sucks. He has like this Oedipus complex, and he already has a concubine, so right as soon as she gets there it's combatant because she already has an opposite, and so she has to figure out how to get what she wants while also making sure that she can be the empress and not letting these people walk all over her or kill her, whatever they're planning. And also there's this new guy in her life, so she's trying to find love and she's also trying to help the people and not get murdered. First up archetype is the Empress role. Protagonists usually are hero. For Navier, she's been raised to be this perfect empress, perfect wife, to do everything correctly. And I noticed some people in the fandom do not appreciate that about her because they think she's like a Mary Sue, which I could see how you would think that, but also it kind of plays into her stoicness and her need to be flawless in every situation, in every day, anything. She is not a very break the mold, outward type of person who's going to be breaking the rules. And because she's like that, it gives me a feeling that she's only really concerned about her people or helping people when it's like personal to her. When that little orphan girl lost her magic, she was alarmed and ready to do anything to support her, to meet with her, to fix the issue so she can become a mage again. And 90% of Navier's business conversations that were shown is about trade or allies, and she's loved by the people and she donates, she's a humanitarian, but she's not trying to rock the boat. Like, she's helping in the way that she's been taught to help, in the way she's raised to help. She's not going to do anything about the slavery. I feel like she didn't seem very concerned about that. In fact, she looks down on Rashta a little bit when she first met her. She's like, oh, the slave girl that my husband brought back? Gross, you know? So she's a workaholic and she cares about being the perfect empress, but not about fixing the groundwork of the social issues, which was a little bit of a missed opportunity, I guess. And Navier is also not a very good communicator when it comes to matters of the heart, especially compared to Adelaide, who we're going to discuss next. But I feel like most people would have trouble speaking to their stinky husband, who is also a bad communicator and is a little selfish and impulsive. So I hope I'm saying her name right, but Adelaide is actually a really cool character. She's very passionate about her people and about the problems in her country. No matter where she is at, she's ready to help people, and she has a cool expertise that she can use magic, so she doesn't have to rely on pawns in the court or anything. She can just do it herself. And so she wants to be first in line to do everything. She's going to fix the slum, she's going to tell her husband to get it together and do his job, and she's going to destroy the monster towers. And that's where she differs the most from Navier to me, because Navier is not going to do any of that. I don't know, maybe if she gets magic she would do something, but right now she's not doing that. And what I also like about Adelaide is she's not worried about Diane at all. She's worried about her in the sense that she needs to keep the power structure intact, like make sure that she knows I'm the one who's in charge here. I'm the empress, not you. So she like puts her in her place, but she's not all, oh no, the emperor doesn't love me. He wants the concubine. She's not worried about that. That's not her priority. Her priority is the people's needs and their safety, and also her own safety. It's really sad though that her mother did not appreciate that fire in her and exiled her to marry this man who is crazy. But I will keep reading Abdicated Empress. It's slowing down a little bit, but I think it's about to ramp up because Adelaide has declared that she will join the magic forces and start and go into battle and things, and we know that her controlling husband is not going to be appreciative of that. So I'm curious to see what his plan is to mess with her and how she's going to react to that. It's going to be fun. We're going to have a good time. Another plus with Adelaide is her vulnerability. She's not afraid to show weakness or be sick or cry in front of the people who care about her because they're going to do whatever they can to support her. And she even has people from her old country who are ready to come help her in where she lives now, and I thought that was really nice because I think Navier only had her parents and her brother got exiled, so she had to follow him, and then that came together. But yeah, she had very few people that were in her corner. She was isolated with all the stuff going down politically, but yeah. Next is the evil mistress archetype. I say evil mistress and not just mistress because they are always the antagonist to the protagonist, who is the empress. Of course, the empress is perfect, so her opposite must be evil. There's no other option, I guess. And the mistress is often beautiful to anyone, but she has a lesser standing in society. Even though she's gorgeous and she can use that to level herself up, she always has to start at the bottom. It is rare to see a mistress character that didn't start out as a commoner. And not just any commoner, the most poor, pitiful, tragic, abused, and abandoned commoner you can think of. I'm sure one day I'll read one where the mistress is just a normal person who's really entitled and cunning, but today is not that day. And why are so many of them blonde? I know in our media the mean girls are usually blonde, but it's starting to feel like an attack. Now, I have to admit, Rasha and Diane's designs are very similar, to the point that people were calling her Trashta 2.0 in the comments when I started reading Abdicated Empress, but they do have differences in their upbringing and personality. So Diane has been in the palace long before the Empress ever came or was engaged to the Emperor. She's well informed about palace life, but is insecure about her position because she's afraid of going back to being an orphan child, but also knows how to fight back. Diane is capable of networking and getting people to like her. Multiple officials within the palace are on her side. All of Diane's desperate love attention is reserved for the Emperor because she's been relying on his obsession with his mother to keep his favor. I also think Diane is older than Rasha. They say she's 29 because she seems to be concerned about aging out of her beauty. You know, when women turn 30, they just crumble to dust before she can have a child, so she needs to have a kid to secure her position in the palace. Diane has tricked herself into thinking that she always has to be more than the other women to have value. She's very jealous and gets rid of multiple blonde workers who come in to help the Emperor. She thinks that that's what he likes, so when she sees one, she's like, oh, that's your next mistress? Well, I gotta get rid of her. And then on the other side of the coin, we have Rasha, who is impulsive and doesn't understand that every action you take leaves an impression on your overall image in the eyes of the people and the nobles, doesn't follow directions well of either the Emperor or her friends, digs herself deeper and deeper into holes, and clings to anyone who shows her affection. Rasha was found by the Emperor as an injured slave, and he was so taken in by her beauty that he fell in love at first sight, so they say. She has been using her beauty to manipulate people for her entire life because that's all she had. Her mom, I guess, is dead, and her dad abandoned her, so that she was doing what she could, and she was a slave because of his debt, so that's terrible. And Sovashu is no different, just another target for her. In the beginning, everyone thinks, oh, this poor clueless girl, she has no manners. Even Navia gave her the benefit of the doubt in the beginning. But from day one, we could see that Rasha was planning to keep a rich meal ticket. She was being sneaky in the corner. We all know what it means when you cry at the slightest thing that someone says to you. That's one thing that Rasha and Diane have in common. They both use tears to garner sympathy from the men in their lives to get out of their actions. Powerful men being in contact with the mistress is a common theme as well. Rasha, when she was a poor, forgotten slave, her own lover, who was her master, wouldn't protect her. She's got a weird relationship with any men who want to give her what she wants, but they simultaneously take advantage of her. And this includes the Emperor. He used her big time, not only to make Navier jealous and to get attention, but also to have an heir. And then he was just gonna discard her. He was gonna divorce her and send her on her way, I'm pretty sure. And the Duke that she's in love with but won't admit that she's in love with him, he's using her to sow discourse in the foreign entity that he's enemies of. She doesn't seem to realize that because, again, she's impulsive, not very smart, doesn't know how any of this works. This poor girl, she's terrible, but still, poor girl. And Diane also has a weird relationship with the guy who took her and her twin brother. And I forgot to mention, she has a twin brother who also has beautiful blonde hair and blue eyes. So they could rise up in society together and operate as pawns. I'm sure she also remembers being poor and on the streets, and so isn't it sad that the mistresses are all led to believe that their only value is through seducing the Emperor? Though I guess that is a requirement so that they can keep their character motivation. I wonder what would happen if the Emperor genuinely loved his mistress but was kept from her by some archaic law, like he isn't using her as a proxy for his dead mom, he's not using her to make the Empress jealous, they have a normal loving relationship, and then he's made to be engaged, or he's suddenly torn between duty and passion. I guess the Emperor would have to be the main character for that to happen though. Can you be a girl boss and steal the Emperor from his mistress? Anyway, if you guys know any comics with that type of dynamic, please tell me. In the end, I think Rashta's probably my favorite character of all of these because her delusion reaches heights that I've never known before in a character, and it's so funny. She makes this so entertaining to read. I don't know what they're gonna do after she's gone because obviously she keeps committing crimes, so they can't keep her around forever. But I hope she gets to stay around long enough to go on a triple corruption arc. She already went on her, I don't even know what to call it. She ran on her revenge arc, and she's kind of still on it because she's mad at Navier for some reason. Navier did not do anything to her. She should be mad at Sobashu for lying to her and manipulating her and using her and then throwing her out. But nope, she's not a girl's girl, so she's mad at Navier. And I'm just waiting. Every week I wait for the next thing that Rashta does, and it makes my day. She is hilarious. And I think we're supposed to hate her, but actually no, she's the best. More evil Rashta content, please. Next, we have to talk about the Emperors. They are usually not great people, not great husbands, but I think they can be neutral or good sometimes. So first is Sovachu. He is the true villain of Remarried Empress. It's not Rashta. He's the sleeper monster hiding in a cave over there, and he comes out and rears his ugly head. He's calculating enough to self-control in public so everyone thinks he's a great emperor, but behind closed doors he's yelling, he's throwing tantrums, he's victim blaming and picking fights. Just super emotional that sometimes it was almost funny how emotional he was. Like, is this guy serious? Is he for real? But he does get everything he deserves though, so karma came back for him, and now he's kind of on a redemption arc. And now I'm not excusing his actions at all, because watching him call Navier in or go to her room and then blame her for something, and then when she goes, I didn't do that, he goes, yes you did, and just starts screaming, and then she starts screaming, and then they both end up leaving and not being happy. He does that so many times, and I was just like, what is going on here? Am I in the Twilight Zone? Why does he keep doing this? But he was never taught how to hold onto a woman.
How do you lose a woman?
You forget to cherish her.
He uses power to get what he wants, and so he has to use Rashta to replace Navier from when she was younger. His attraction to Rashta is based solely in having the upper hand and her being naive, which to me translates to I'm incapable of communicating with confident grown women. But anyway, it's funny that after the novelty of Rashta wears off, he's devastated and begging Navier to come back to him because Rashta's nuts. He can't keep living with her, he doesn't feel safe with her, and so giving him the benefit of the doubt, he was just really desperate to recapture those times when they were young and truly happy together, and now his choices are actively destroying what they have, and he got so caught up in trying to have his cake and eat it too, keep the love of his life, have a child and an heir, have a fun concubine, and those things just don't mix. So just so everyone's clear, we're gonna go over what Sobashu's plan was. Step 1, it was divorce Navier. Step 2, marry Rashta and make her the empress. Step 3, have an heir. Step 4, have Rashta be the empress for a whole year so that the heir is legitimate. Step 5, divorce Rashta. Step 6, I think, remarry Navier, and I don't know how that last step was going to work because in a perfect world, Navier would just go back to her parents' estate and stay there quietly for a year doing nothing, I guess. And then when he heroically walks back and is like, I love you, I made a mistake, remarry me, she's just gonna take him back, I guess, because that's how much she loves being an empress, that she would just forgive all his nonsense. I don't know about that, but I think that was his plan. And I think we all see now why that was never going to work. The lack of communication and only considering what he wants has caused him to end up with a really traumatized, dangerous person for a wife. And he's potentially stuck with her forever because they have a kid. Well, allegedly have a kid. Time for some spoilers. Part of the reason Sobashu brought Rush in and was trying to get Navier to stay at the same time is because he thinks that she's barren. He thinks Navier's barren because he gave her abortion cookies by accident when they were children, so now he's thinking, I want to keep this relationship, but I also need a child, so I will bring in this other woman and she will have my child, and then me and my original lady can live happily ever after. Which is stupid, but he was just really trying to have that dream life, and sometimes you have to sacrifice for the ones you love, but he wasn't willing to sacrifice, so he ended up losing everything. If you take nothing else from Remarried Empress, take that communication is key. Otherwise, you will blow up your life. Okay, so this video is getting really long, longer than I intended it for it to be, but that's okay. We're gonna make a part 1 and part 2 and be back in a few days.
In the case of 3-year-old Jeremiah William, you are not the father.